104.7 The K, Mike the Intern in the studio this morning with my good friend Francis from the Missouri Department of Conservation, and he's in here for a very important subject today, and that is if you like to get out and about, hike, maybe go down to Busick, do some off-site camping, whatever, just be mindful that here pretty soon, them bears are going to be walking around, right?
You bet, Mike. Glad to be here, and yes, it's a little bit early to start seeing bears, but not too early to start thinking about them. Mm-hmm. Bears usually come out of overwintering in late March, early April, but regardless of what time of year it is, people are just fascinated by bears in Missouri, and so it's always a great time to talk about them.
And again, we're not talking about your big, giant brown grizzly bears up north. Most of the time, they're smaller black bears.
What we have in Missouri are black bears. You are right. That's the only type of bear we have in Missouri. Interestingly enough, and this may raise your eyebrows a little bit, we think we have about a latest population estimates about 1,000 bears in Missouri. And the eyebrow-raising thing about that is that this is actually part of a larger population. Bears obviously don't know state lines, so it's kind of a regional population between Arkansas, Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, and Missouri. And in that regional population, we estimate there's about 8,000 bears in that population.
Wow.
I know.
But that's a good thing. I mean, obviously,
yes.
You guys in the conservation department want to make sure that we preserve this stuff. And have we seen an increase? Especially, I bring that up because obviously we're still living in a post-COVID world. And I'm sure since then, have you seen an increase in bears? Or?
Yes. I'll answer that question yes in two ways. The second yes is a very interesting story. But the first yes. Our population, Missouri population, is increasing by about 9% a year, which is a good, healthy increase for bears. But to get the true increase in bears, let's go back to the beginning. It's a cool story. Okay, pre-settlement, early settlement Missouri, bears were statewide. Lewis and Clark saw bears. Schoolcraft, when he came here, saw bears. They were statewide. Through overhunting, through habitat, they disappeared. Bears were a popular hunting item. In the early 1800s, early to mid 1800s, one thing that was popular with bears was bear grease. The lard, if you will, that was rendered from the bear fat, that was used for a number of things like treating leather and things like that. I think it was used in soap and stuff like that. But anyway, for various reasons, bears disappeared. So we thought they disappeared from Missouri by the early 1900s. And by we thought, I'll get back to that in a moment. There's a couple of cliffhangers here, Mike. So no, we thought they disappeared by the early 1900s. In the late 1950s, Arkansas started a bear reintroduction program. Their bears were in the same state they basically disappeared. They wanted bears back, so Arkansas Game and Fish Department went to I think it was like the northern parts of Minnesota, maybe in southern Canada, that area up there. They got bears. They transported them down here and put them in northern Arkansas. In Arkansas, that population began to grow. So, by virtue of Missouri being on top of Arkansas, as that population expanded up, it expanded into Missouri. So we started seeing bears late 60s, early 70s. We started getting bear sightings, and in 2010, we decided to do a bear study. We had done some bear population studies before, but they were pretty basic stuff. Basically, it just showed us, yes, we had bears. We never got down in the weeds about the types of bears we had. So, we knew they were black bears, but we wanted genetic information. So we trapped bears. We tranquilized them. Got some genetic from hair snares, which basically we put food in the center of a wire ring. They would crawl across it. As they crawled across that, they would leave hair on the wire. We would get that hair. And since these bears came from the same part of North America, they would all have the same genetic stuff. same genetic information. Well, some of the bears we caught did not have that genetic information. So we think that those were bears that perhaps could have been true, honest to goodness remnants of the Missouri bear population.
That never went away.
Yeah, that never went away. Yeah.
Also, the fact that they are still trying to get home and move north.
Exactly.
Incredible. Francis, thanks so much for coming in this morning in the incredible story. But bottom line is this: if you're going to be out and about in the next month or so, maybe a month and a half, keep an eye out for those bears, and they're just as scared of you as you are of they. So just keep your distance and let them do their thing, right?
Yes. That's the big thing. Is the main bear human interactions we have is from yearling males, about a year and a half old. What's happening is they get kicked away from the family unit because the mother already has a new set of cubs or is thinking about the new family coming on. Kicks these young adult males. These young adult males are looking for new places to establish territories, and in their wandering, sometimes they come across things like trash cans that have lids left off of them, pet food containers that have part pet food in, bird feeders, stuff like that. Those are the animals most free, and it's usually in late spring, early to midsummer that we have our bear human confrontations. Most of them are with these young yearling males. Well, obviously, there's still enough habitat in the wild of Missouri that they don't need to be hanging around the homes of Missouri for their food. So what we want is for you to get them for the homeowners to get them to move on. Mm-hmm. And you can do this by you can clap, make however
as much
noise.
Noise as you possibly can.
Yes, and if you can't make that noise, if you can't get them to move on, call the Department of Conservation. We have things that can get them to move on too. You want them to scare them away, because what happens, Mike, is that if they become habituated to being around your home, it's obviously bad for your home because they're not a threat to humans. But you have a large animal who's an aggressive looker for food. They'll tear up property, tear up your buildings looking for food. From the bear standpoint, they habituated to being around your home, and they lose those natural instincts of finding food. Remember, they're just about a year old, so they're just kind of learning those things anyway. Mm-hmm. So if they learn to find food around your home, they won't learn to find food in the wild. So by getting them to move on, if they don't get or if they do get habituated around your home, those are the bears that sometimes end up being killed or whatever because they just don't know how to find food in the wild like a wild animal should.
And that's a sad thing. But thanks again for what you do for our conservation, Francis, and I'll see you again soon.
You betcha. Glad to be here, Mike.